Greetings, students. Welcome back to Chapter 3. I apologize in advance. This one's probably going to be a little long. So just kind of a thing here for when we get into biological processes this semester. So there are a number of biological processes that we're going to learn this semester. It is important that you understand how all of this works. It is important that you understand that we know how your brain works and how your eyes work and how your ears work and all of that. I do not think it relevant that you know exactly how it works. I don't think you need to memorize all the steps. So your textbook has an amazing little video that actually shows you how this works. I would highly recommend you review that video, but the bits of that video that you need to focus on in terms of how neurons work are highlighted in our keywords and concepts here, okay? So that's my little thing here. So we're starting with neurons, right? These are our information processors. Our brains are giant computers, guys, that are essential for all the tasks of the nervous system. They're the central building blocks of the nervous system. And it is a small information processor. It's a tiny little biological computer. And dendrites, you don't need to know those, serve as input sites where signals are received from other neurons in the form of electrical signals, right? And these signals are transmitted electrically across the soma and down a major extension from the soma known as the axon, which ends at multiple terminal buttons. Okay, so that's the process. It's kind of how the electricity makes its way through those little computers in our brain. And then we have a connected term here. Glial cells provide scaffolding on which the nervous system is built. Basically, they help the neurons line up nice and closely with one another to allow them to communicate to each other. They insulate the neurons so they don't get harmed by anything. And they transport like nutrients, waste products, that kind of thing. Make sure white blood cells are getting there if they need to be. Now, glial cells are what make up, next slide, the myelin sheath. That's a fatty substance that goes around the axons, right? It coats the axon and it acts as an insulator. Increasing the speed at which the signal travels, just like an electrical cable or something for the internet at home, right? Same idea. Myelin sheath damage is really problematic then. If you get that, you'll see that with things like multiple sclerosis. That's actually the problem those folks are having, is that their myelin sheaths are degrading. So the neurotransmitters travel across the synapse, you should know about the synapse, and bind to receptors on the dendrites of the adjacent neuron. And then the whole process starts over again. So it's this repetitive electrical process of our little microprocessors in our brains going. Like I said, you do not need to memorize every single step in this. No. You do not have to do that. That's just a bunch of information that you will never use again, and that is not useful. You do need to understand how all this works. And if there is something bolded on here, I would highly recommend you definitely know how that works. And then I did pull 2 neurotransmitters in here that I thought you guys should know about. There's a nice, lovely chart in your textbook if you want to look at all of the neurotransmitters. But there's a couple here that we're going to learn about. The first is serotonin, which we're probably all familiar with. This is involved in mood and sleep, right? It's whether or not you're cranky. And it has a potential effect on things like behavior, with mood, appetite, that kind of thing. Most antidepressants are SSRIs, or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, right? So they're trying to control the amount of serotonin in your brain. Either trying to, in this case, add to the serotonin. There are other ones that do the opposite. So that's serotonin. And then we also have on this slide beta endorphin. That's involved with pain and pleasure. And when you start messing with that particular neurotransmitter, you can get an effective behavior of like decreased anxiety and tension. So it can help calm you down. It's one of those calm down neurotransmitters. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.